This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 612, Budgeting to Pay Off Debt, by Dianne Aarnink with MakingSenseOfCents.com. And I'm Dan, your host. I am here every weekday reading to you from some of the best personal finance blogs on the planet. And before we get to our post from Dianne today, if you've been listening for a while, you should already know that we give away books to random people on our mailing list, and that is something that we do each and every month. So if you want a chance to win, make sure you join. It is totally free. Just enter your email address at oldpodcast.com. For now, let's get right to the post and start optimizing your life. Budgeting to Pay Off Debt, by Dianne Aarnink with MakingSenseOfCents.com. The proverbial mechanic who drives a broken-down car, the contractor with an unfinished basement, the hairstylist with roots. What do these three have in common? They are all professionals who don't follow their own advice. I used to be one of them, a CPA in debt. Big debt. I've always liked to spend. I remember when I bought my first car. Actually, it was a truck. It was an impulse purchase. Had to have it. Didn't care about the financial consequences. And that's how it was. If I wanted something, I bought it. It didn't matter whether I really needed it, whether I could afford it, or what it meant for my financial future. My philosophy was easy come, easy go. Until the easy go exceeded the easy come. My reckless spending habits eventually caught up with me. I had so many credit cards that I was pulling cash from an ATM with one credit card so I could make the minimum payment on another credit card. My entire paycheck was going towards my credit cards, and thus the cycle continued. I had read book after book after book on getting out of debt. I followed all the advice and rules, but nothing stuck longer than a couple weeks. And always at the end, I would be further in debt. Just like a diet, you lose a little weight, but then you gain it back, plus 5 pounds. I woke up. And one day, I woke up. I realized following the rules and applying conventional wisdom wasn't working for me. In order for me to triumph in the war against debt, I needed to find creative ways to satisfy my cravings. I needed to turn my weaknesses into my strengths. I painstakingly captured every expense in Quicken for 3 full months. Yes, 3 months. Why 3? I needed to capture my natural spending habits over multiple payroll cycles. At the end of the 3 months, I performed a very difficult and honest self-analysis of my spending behavior. I ran a report in Quicken detailed by category. By reviewing the report, I could identify my spikes in spending and determine why they spiked. In other words, what was going on in my life at that time. I did the same for the peaks when I was acting financially responsibly. Budget. I then created a budget based on those peaks and valleys. I created budget categories that catered to my flaws. For example, every time I tried to restrict my spending, be all financially smart and perfect, that's when I spent the most. So I created a fun money budget category. That was money I could spend on whatever I wanted, no questions asked. I stopped trying to save money by eating in. I created a dining out budget category and allowed myself to go out with my friends and family without the guilt attached. I also created budget categories for areas in my life where I knew the inevitable binge would occur. For example, I have an insatiable desire to redecorate my house, so I created a happy house fund. I put a little away each month. When the craving for a spending spree reared its ugly head, I was prepared. I had money saved. For expenses that fluctuated each month, I kept a flat, budgeted amount and treated it like a reserve. Heat, for example. In the summer, the heat bill was low, thus I wouldn't spend everything I had budgeted. I would roll those leftover funds forward until I needed them in the winter months. Debt paydown. Finally, I had a budget category for debt paydown. I focused all my efforts on one credit card at a time. When that credit card was paid off, I applied that much more to the next one. I started with my smallest credit card debt, not the one with the highest interest rate. The purpose was to gain momentum. The infamous snowball effect. I have learned that I will never beat psychology, so I have chosen to run alongside it. The final play in my Super Bowl against debt was tracking actual spending against my budget with unrelenting persistence. Every couple days, I tallied all my spending against my budget. At no time did I not know my exact financial position. This tactic eliminated any compromise to my plan because I could not fool myself into thinking I had more money available than I really did. And finally, Finally, that day came. I made my last credit card payment and I was debt-free. Beyond the ability to say I was debt-free, with the exception of a mortgage and a car payment, two great things happened to me as a result of this process. One, I had built an arsenal of good financial habits. Those habits turned into an ability to save. And two, that savings led me to be able to take a year off work and stay home with my family. Was it hard? Heck yeah. Nothing in my life has been harder or more painful, not even childbirth. But I triumphed, and I won. You just listened to the post titled Budgeting to Pay Off Debt by Dianne Aarnink with makingsenseofsense.com. And once again, if you want to have a chance to win books from us, make sure you're on our mailing list at oldpodcast.com. You'll also get some free financial spreadsheets from us, including one that shows you when you can retire, as well as a video tutorial, a weekly email with life tips, quotes, and more. So for all of that, simply join our weekly newsletter mailing list at oldpodcast.com. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in tomorrow's show, where your optimal life awaits.